Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video where today we're here with the first of our F123 hot lap and track guides. Yes, we're returning once again. I get asked so often by you all as to, how do I learn how to race with no line on the F1 games? What settings and what setups am I running inside the game as well? So yeah, starting from today, we are going to be jumping in here on the second channel with some track guides. We're going to run through the entire calendar in order, and then we're also going to be using Le Castellet, Portimao, and Shanghai. So yeah, definitely, if you're new around here and you do want to watch all of these videos, get yourself subscribed to the channel. It would be greatly, greatly appreciated. We're getting very, very close to 10,000 subscribers as well here on the second channel. But of course, these setups are geared to those of you that are trying to learn, obviously, where to brake without racing line, and of course, hopefully try and give you guys a bit of an idea when it comes to setups as well. Of course, everything is personal preference, just remember that, so it would not surprise me if you jump in, try the setups that I've made, and then just have to make a few tweaks that suit yourself. Timestamps will be linked down below as well. I'm going to try and make these fairly quick fire, but also provide you all with the information you need, so let's get into it. Right, well, here we are then at the Sakhir International Circuit. Before we jump into any laps then, of course, we've got to showcase the setup that we're rocking around here. Of course, Bahrain can be quite a low-grip circuit. There's a lot of big and difficult traction zones around this venue. You can see, yep, my time on 129.001. Gutted that I wasn't able to get into the 28s there. Puts us just over 4,000th in the world out of 87,000 current players. So top 5% I think I can be pretty happy with in that regard. But having a look then at our setup, of course, fuel, you're limited on that. You can only run 5.5 laps. Aerodynamics, I'm running 34 and 32 on the front and rear. It seems like, again, F123 is going to be another game where you want to run slightly more front than rear wing to try and get a good balance and, of course, have good straight line speed as well. Generally speaking, rear wing mainly affects the top end speed, front wing mainly affects the downforce levels, but if you bring them anything more than about 3 or 4 clicks away from each other, the balance gets absolutely thrown off. Transmission wise, I'm still making some tweaks and adjustments here, trying to learn sort of what works well on F123, but 56-52 seemed to be what I found to be the most successful around Sakhir. Gave me good consistent traction on corner exit, and of course, yeah, it's still difficult around this venue. Suspension geometry, again, this is another one that I think might change quite a lot in the early stages of the game. -3, pretty much at standard there, a -1.4 on the front and rear camber. Front toe 0.03, and the rear toe in at 0.15. Suspension, again, this one is something that, of course, has been massively overhauled inside F123. 26 on the front suspension, you want that to be quite firm, but again, of course, because of all the traction zones around here, 15 on the rear suspension, of course, allows it to squat a bit more on corner exit. Of course, you put more weight on the rear end, and you get better traction off the corners there. 7.6 on the front and rear anti-roll bar. I've been trying to keep those as close together as possible inside this game, and then 38.40 on the ride height there. Seems like you can run fairly low ride heights inside F123, but again, a lot of the curbs around here are very, very aggressive. Brake bias, again, this is one that I think a lot of people are going to have to try and change to suit their own style. I'm running 98.56. I found running any higher front brake bias, I was getting a lot of front locking into the corners, but of course you bring it much lower than 56, you're going to find yourself locking the rears a lot as well, and especially through 9 and 10, that is going to be very, very difficult to try and manage, especially, of course, over one lap, that's okay. Over race distance, you want a very suitable setup then. 22.3 on the front tyre pressures and 20.6 on the rear tyre pressures there. Just allows you, again, obviously, to try and get a little bit more grip on the rear end. Of course, the less pressures in the tyres, the more they expand, and obviously a larger surface area, again, providing you with a bit more grip on corner exits. Of course, got to be careful with those pressures, though, because, again, the lower pressure you run, generally speaking, the more tyre wear you're going to find as well during F123. It doesn't seem like tyre temps are too big of an issue early on in the game, so yeah, you don't have to worry too much about trying to tune around that as much. Well, now we've got our setup sorted, then let's go for a nice slow lap around the Sakhir International Circuit. Of course, DRS zone, pretty certain that's been moved inside F123. Of course, you're going to be heading all the way down towards turn 1. Keep the car pretty far over on the left-hand side, and you're going to be trying to spot the curbing in towards the first corner. Of course, you'll be in 8th gear here. I'm braking pretty much as the curbing starts. If you're in time trial, you can brake ever so slightly later in towards that first corner. But yeah, generally, I say a good rule of thumb is at the curb. And you're going to be 2nd gear on the entrance. You want to try to avoid that curbing on the inside there. And then as you come off the corner, probably 2 of the most difficult corners on the lap, I've been trying to go 3rd as we're still rotating the car right, and then as you flick the car left, you want to be hitting 4th gear there. This curbing on the exit you can actually use quite nicely. It's very, very friendly, it seems, on F123, but only if you're not wheel spinning. Of course, activate the DRS as you head out of turn 3 there, but yeah, so difficult at the start of the lap. Those first 3 corners are certainly going to require a lot of trial and error, and again, one of the worst traction zones around this circuit. Heading up, though, towards turn 4, you're going to be braking from 8th gear once more at the 100-meter board. I find you can use this curb on entry, and then 3rd gear as you tip it into the apex. Sometimes I'm using 2nd, but ultimately 3rd is faster. It's just about whether you can try and get the rotation, and then you'll notice this little bump on the exit as well, this little undulation off the corner. That's when you want to be going up into 4th gear. This curbing, I'd either say get 2 wheels fully over it or try to avoid it altogether, to be honest. And then we head down in towards turn 5 and turn 6 there. Take the curb on the entry. I'm flicking it down into 5th gear on the way in. Of course, you want to attack the curbs, but don't put 2 wheels over them. Short shift back up into 6th on the exit. And then this exit curb as well is very, very dangerous. You can put 2 wheels on the first part, but you get your wheels over onto that second part, you can see just how corrugated it is, and you will absolutely throw the car around. Of course, get the car over to the left-hand side once more, and then the actual marker, it's very, very difficult to try and locate where you want to be stopping. I'll try and locate it on the inside here. You can see, just as the circuit starts to ever so slightly inch to the right there, that's where I'm aiming to brake over on this left-hand side. It is very, very difficult to spot, and you will struggle with it, I'm sure. On quite a few times I find myself understeering slightly in towards this next corner. 2nd gear on the entry. As soon as you go past that bollard, I'm shifting back up into 3rd. And again, you want to try to avoid that exit curb as well. Bring the car slowly back over to the right-hand side. Leave it in 6th, though. You can use this curbing on the entry. And then pretty much as you reach the midway point of that curbing on the inside, I'm going to be coming back down the gears once more. Allow the car to run right out towards this curbing, but don't touch it. Otherwise, you will just bounce out and understeer. And then as you reach the apex again, I'm going from 2nd back up into 3rd gear there. Short shift 4th as well, and open up the DRS as you head out onto the back straight there. Turn 9 and 10, 2 of the most difficult corners around this lap. If you can get those nailed, you are in for a much better time. This corner, I'm pretty much trying to get the car over the curbing again and then braking at this blue mark just before the 50-meter board. Again, you were going from 8th all the way down into 4th gear on entry. You can allow the car to run out wide slightly on the exit. Again, try to avoid that curb as best as possible. And then as you go through 5th and 6th gear, you want to get the car back over to the left-hand side before you flick it through the right. We've said it for so many years. That curb, absolutely lethal. Avoid it at all costs. And then this corner again, very, very difficult to spot your braking marker. Just as the circuit starts to arc to the right-hand side again, I'm trying to brake there. I'd say if you're learning the circuit, avoid the curbing on the outside. Of course, you're going to be going from 7th gear all the way down to 3rd on entry, and then again, as you hit that apex, I'm suggesting you try and short shift back up to 4th once again. You can use that exit curb, but make sure you're off it before the end, otherwise there's quite a nasty lip that's going to cost you a bit of time as you head down in towards the final corner. Of course, you'll be all the way back up in 8th gear once again, and this final corner actually not too bad. Braking pretty much as you hit the 100-meter board there and you go under the gantry. 3rd gear on entry, of course, get the car rotated over, and then 4th gear on the exit. Of course, you can allow the car to run wide out of that final corner, but again, you want to avoid the curb on the exit. And as you head out of that final turn, open up the DRS once more, and that is going to be a lap of the Sakhir International Circuit then. A weird one to try to learn inside F123. It's always a fantastic test, to be honest, inside all of the F1 games. You know, if you're looking for a track where you want to try and learn sort of a lot of the handling and the traction of a car, Bahrain is absolutely the place to go. But yeah, anyway, let's go and watch then how that all fits up nicely together. Well, there we go then. That is going to do us for our first hot lap and track guide here inside F123. As I mentioned, Bahrain probably, is one of the best tracks on the calendar if you're trying to learn the traction and handling of the cars inside the new game as well. But of course, we'll be back tomorrow then, ready for episode 2, where we head to the Jeddah Corniche Street Circuit. That's going to be a very, very different challenge. Of course, a lot of major changes to that venue inside F123. But hopefully, this guide has helped you out as well. As mentioned in the intro, of course, it is mainly set up for beginners and people trying to learn no braking line as well. You will get there. It will take time to begin with, but absolutely worth doing once you've got it nailed down. But let me know your thoughts and feelings as well down below. Thank you all so much for watching. Get yourself subscribed, and we'll be back very, very soon with more F123 track guides.